we'll get on to. We don't have that luxury, and we don't think Davante Adams has that luxury, but he is number 10 in our wide receiver rankings, our consensus PPR rankings. A star of NFL receivers on Netflix as we watch him be upset with Jimmy Garoppolo. Everything comes full circle. Finished as a wide receiver 10 last year, despite everything going on at the quarterback position. I'm going to kick this one over to, where are we? I'm going to go to Anthony first on this one. Anthony, what says you on Davante Adams?
I have Davante ranked probably lower than most as my wide receiver 16. I'm completely out on Davante Adams. Now, last year, Davante Adams, super targeted. I'm pulling it up, 175, finished as a 15 in points per game and the 10 overall, 8 touchdowns, just 1,144 receiving yards, 103 receptions. Clearly has taken a step back, and it's crazy to say without Derek Carr, but like that was a significant downgrade going to those quarterbacks last year, like the aforementioned Jimmy Garoppolo and Aiden O'Connell. Now, this is a Raiders team. We know they want to run the football and play defense, win ugly. That's what Antonio Pierce is going to bring. They draft Brock Bowers. They have Jacoby Myers, who is a target vacuum in his own right to a much lesser extent than Davante Adams. So let's go to this quarterback room. This quarterback room is not going to be good. Now, if we think it's Aiden O'Connell, in games that Davante Adams started with Aiden O'Connell, he averaged 9.4 points per game in PPR league. So under 10 fantasy points in PPR a game with O'Connell. 4 of 11 of those games, he had 10-plus PPR points. This is an elite receiver that we're paying an elite price for, giving us under 10 fantasy points per game with O'Connell. Do we really think Gardner Minshew is that much of an upgrade? The numbers say no. And before I kick it to Steve, last year, Aiden O'Connell ranked 32nd in catchable target rate. Gardner Minshew was 23rd. And collectively, those quarterbacks average 197 passing yards per game. The old Davante Adams could get $150 by himself. Like I just don't see a world where this works out for Davante Adams fantasy managers unless he's traded.
Yeah, Davante Adams, 2 years ago, I was out because of Derek Carr. And then last year I bought back in, and it wasn't as good as the year before with Derek Carr. So my timing was kind of off on Adams, even though, that week 17 game, he absolutely went off and he elevated a lot of my teams, that big game, that 2-touchdown game. And he finished pretty strong down the stretch. But in that week 17 game, he had 21 targets. That's pretty insane. But I mean, Davante Adams, you watch the receiver show, and all the receivers in the league name him as the best receiver in the league because of his releases, the way he sets up cornerbacks. He's just an absolute technician, puts on absolute masterclass out there on the field. And I do think it's going to be Gardner Minshew. I do think it's a slight upgrade, probably not by much, over Aiden O'Connell and Jimmy G. So I do think that will help him a little bit. But yeah, they do bring in the rookie tight end Bowers. So, you got to think they're going to want to get him involved. Pierce does like to run the football, but then again, you look at those games down the stretch, Adams is still getting 21 targets. He still is their main weapon. He still is their main guy. So second round, you can get him. I still don't mind going after Adams and taking Adams. I still think he could be very productive. And you look at some of the other guys here. I mean, you got A-Chain, who we all have questions about. Olave, we always clown Derek Carr, Kyron Williams, a lot of questions with him. I just spoke about Marvin Harrison. So, I don't mind taking Davante Adams. And if I can get him in the third round somewhere, then I'm going to click on his name all day.
All right. Good times. One thing I want to mention, Anthony, I'll kick this over to you. Speaking of quarterbacks in Las Vegas, Antonio Pierce was talking about the QB1 battle today. He said Gardner's had several days now where he's made some plays, but then there's also some turnovers that show up that we don't want to have happen as well.
Shocker.
When I look at Aiden, I see a guy that's throwing the ball accurate. I see some drops by our wide receivers. Somebody, again, has to step up. So with the quarterback situation seeming to be kind of in the air, even though Minshew got the contract, so we would assume he's the guy. It's his job to lose. Any other thoughts based on what you just heard there on Adams? Or is that kind of what you expect?
I don't care who the quarterback is.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. I don't. He got the contract. He for a starting quarterback, $12.5 million AAV. That's a contract.
No, it's a contract that Aiden O'Connell doesn't have, is what I'm saying. I'm not
Because
saying
Aiden
it's
O'Connell's
like
as a rookie, a second-year guy.
I know
That's
that.
why.
I'm not trying to tell you that Gardner Minshew is the highest paid player in football. I'm just saying he was paid to come in to be quarterback for the team.
Be
Is
a
all I'm
quarterback
saying.
on the
That's
team.
all I'm saying. So if you're taking more away from that, you're doing it wrong.
I don't like either one. I think
Okay.
I'll go in my deathbed believing that the Raiders thought one of Bo Nix or Michael Penix was going to fall to them, and they drafted Mike Bowers because they didn't know, or Brock Bowers because they didn't know what the fuck else to do.
They must hate the Falcons right now.
They didn't know what else to do.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right, just wanted to ask you, man. Jeez, maybe I should ask Steve that question.
Who do I want to see? Ryan Tannehill. That's who I want to see.
You okay?
I know George fucking likes to hear that. I know.
You getting hungry?
Adam,
this quarterback dilemma in Oakland or Las Vegas is getting ridiculous.
Just saying, it might be dinner time for you. You're getting a little testy.
Adams had two 20 target games last year. One he went for 42 points, and the other for 37. So I could see a couple more 20 target games this year as well.
We got two more wide receivers to go to here. We're going to go to our number 11, which is Mr. Nico Collins.